We will now start with the first type of file sharing, and that is sharing a file as a commenter. Before starting, I suggest that you have an email address of a colleague to share the file with. This is now the first email address to whom I am sharing the water cycle file with. If you want to add more email address, you have to type a comma right after this email address, at the end of the email address. So I'll type in here a comma. Notice what happens after I do that. Comma. Notice that the cursor is now ready to accept another email address. I'll input another one. So I have here the test@gmail.com, gmail.com email address. Then let's say I would want to add another one. So I type a comma. And the same thing happens. The cursor is ready to accept another email address. Right now, I want you to notice this yellow icon on the test@gmail.com email address. When you point on the yellow box, it will say no Google account found. So Google also has an auto checker to check if that email address is valid or not. Again, this is the icon that tells you that that particular email address is invalid. Since this is an invalid email address, I'll have to erase this. So I'll just share this file to one single person right here. Next is, we'll proceed to the access levels. Here, this is the access level of the file. I want you to click on the arrow pointing down. When you do that, you have here three options. That is viewer, commenter, and editor. Let's discuss each one very briefly. Let's start with the viewer. A viewer is allowed to view the file or folders or the Google document. A viewer is also allowed to download the file that you have shared. However, a viewer cannot permanently delete a file folder, particularly the one that you have shared. Let's proceed to commenter. A commenter is allowed to comment on the Google document and presentation. Commenter also allows viewing of the shared file as well as download. And similar to viewer, a commenter is not allowed to permanently delete a file folder. Lastly, let's talk about the editor access level. If you notice, the list is quite longer compared to the first two. So an editor can edit Google Documents, presentation, and spreadsheet. Also, the editor can invite other collaborators and can also remove the existing collaborators. An editor can view and download the file that you have shared. Here's a new feature. An editor can also upload and delete file versions. File versions are the new files that the editor uploaded within that folder. Since he or she uploaded it, he has also access rights to delete that particular file that he or she has uploaded. An editor can also add and remove items from the folder. Add and remove items, actually this feature is similar to the upload and delete. An editor cannot permanently delete a file folder. This file that we are talking about is the shared file. So the shared file cannot be deleted by any other person except from the original owner of the file. But the editor can upload additional files, and those files that he or she uploaded are also the files that he can delete. Let's now go back to Google Drive. We stopped here on the different access levels. And here, since viewer rights are very limited, I'll select here commenter. Okay, and here down below, you have here notify people. When you select a check mark, it means that an email will be sent to the person or people that you shared this file with. And checking this will not send an email to that person. I prefer to notify that person or the people so they will know that they have a shared file from me. You may add also a brief message to them. And here is the file that we are sharing, the water cycle file. I'll click now, send. Right now, I am logged into a different account. I logged into the account to whom the file was shared. If you notice here, this is now a different account. This is the email address that we shared the file with earlier. Therefore, this is now the file, the water cycle file, and I am viewing this as a commenter. Of course, this is the content of the file water cycle. As a commenter, you have here a box, a green box somewhere on the right side. It says suggesting mode. I'll click on this. It says editing, suggesting, and viewing. Since I'm not an editor, or since this was not shared as an editor, we cannot edit the file directly, but we can suggest and view. Note that it says here, edits become suggestions. Let's try to edit the file. Under step 1, it says water evaporates from the Earth's surface. Let's try to delete this. So I select and press delete. Notice that after I press delete, there's just a crash out. It's not completely erased from Google Docs. Then I'll suggest here that this phrase should be replaced with evaporation. Okay. Next is I'll suggest under step 2, water condenses from clouds. I'll select this and press delete. And I'll suggest that this should be condensation. Okay. So I made 2 modifications right now, or I made 2 suggestions. I'll now close this and go back to the original account so we could see what we could do there. Okay, I am now logged in to my original account. And here I can see there's a modification. It has been erased. And here is the suggestion, evaporation and condensation. I can also see who modified it or who suggested it. I have here a check mark and an X. When I click on check, it means I accept the suggestion, while an X means reject the suggestion. I'll select a check mark or accept the first suggestion, and let's try on reject on the second one. When I select reject, it goes back to the original context. That is what a commenter can do and how the file or suggestion could be handled by the owner of the file, whether accept or reject.